Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I think all dads in the audience can relate to this. I was reading a how-to instruction manual, and I got to the part about needing a screwdriver. So I got out the vodka and orange juice. Anything after that is still a mystery. I love that. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot, a real live patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you right here as we start off a brand new week. This is October 28th, Monday, and Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a big fall tire sale going on right now. Stop in and see them today, along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, my friend. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. You can't miss them. I mean, they're right there on the Burley Pole Highway. And boy, have they got a front yard full of tools, absolutely, and equipment. The best of tools and equipment for you. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning to serve you. And I'm telling you, there's a hurry if you still haven't taken care of, like, maybe digging new sprinkler or water lines. You better get the equipment to get it done before the ground freezes. Or don't forget, too, they got the air compressors to blow out those sprinkler lines. All of this and more at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this final Monday in October, and it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. High of 40, it is going to be breezy with a southwest wind at about 10 miles an hour, increasing to about 15 miles an hour by this afternoon. Wind could gust as high as about 32. For tonight, 40% chance of snow showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 16. We are expecting accumulations of less than a half an inch possible tomorrow. 50% chance of showers in the morning hours, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon. High of 28, blustery with the north wind at about 13 miles an hour. That's going to be increasing by the afternoon. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 6. Then by Wednesday, sunny skies and 33. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
A low of 6 tomorrow night. You'd better button up, Bunky. It's going to get cold. Woo! As a matter of fact, I got the cords for my diesel right up here by the house ready to plug in. Hey, K&R Rental brings you the weather and a chilly forecast it was. Thank you very much. Roger and the crew, K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley Paul Highway. And the number to call, 678-3122. Really good people. I want to say thank you very, very much to 3 businesses that helped us with prizes for our Halloween costume contest, and they are Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, Lee's Furniture, and Tires West Les Schwab. We had our lunch bunch last Thursday and our Halloween contest, costume contest, and thank you, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, Les Schwab, Tires West, and, of course, Lee's Furniture. Thank you very much. You know, that's the thing about my advertisers. They jump in and they help all of our different projects, and I'm very, very appreciative. Also want to say a big shout out this morning to Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew over at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You know, you're sitting there going, I haven't had time to wash my clothes. What am I going to do? What am I going to wear? Well, if you take your clothes into Daryl's Cleaners, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mommy used to do. So all you need to do is know the address. I'll send you there. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Daryl's Cleaners, absolutely the best when it comes to helping you with your clothes. And boy, you talk about a great dry cleaning facility. They are. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Another big shout-out goes to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and I just absolutely urge you, if you haven't already, you'd better make sure the old furnace is going to work all right, because it's going to get downright cold tomorrow night. Calling for a low of about 6. Woo, that'll put your toesies on the linoleum and make you prance like a ballerina. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They got all your furnace filters, everything. So stop in and see them today. Don't put it off. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you, Zeb.
My friend.
Frosty morning it is.
It is.
15 degrees at my house.
Yeah, it's a little chilly out there.
You know, you've heard this old saying, if you can't say something good about somebody, don't say anything.
Yep.
And that's the first time I've seen Nancy Pelosi abide by anything.
I don't know where you're headed on this, but there's a caveat that if I think you're going in one direction, I'm going to make a slight correction. So go ahead and tell me what you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi. She's just hiding in the background. She cannot give praise to something that has taken place because it's not her idea.
Well, Keith, I think you're talking about the SEAL team raid on al-Baghdadi and killing this worthless vermin, this worthless human being that has killed so many people. And Nancy Pelosi was all up in arms. I think this is what you're referring to. Was all up in arms because President Trump hadn't gone through her to give her all the information, etc. Let me just say this so you know where I stand. If I were Donald Trump, and I mean this, Keith, from the bottom of my heart, if I were Donald Trump, I wouldn't share with Pelosi and the Democrats not one doggone bit of information more than what I had to and was obliged to due to the Constitution. They are nothing more than leakers and troublemakers out to do nothing more than derail the president's administration. And to have given her this information about a secret raid, I think it would have put our troops in harm's way.
Absolutely. You know, the Democrats can't take a story and go with it the way it is. They've got to put their spin on it.
Well, their spin is asinine. I have no use for the Democratic Party the way it is right now. I think they're all a bunch of childish little brats that need a rattle and something to occupy their time while they sit in the high chair waiting for pablum. I have no use for these people.
Yeah, and this Adam Schiff, oh my gosh, you know, if I had 20 llawns, I would probably need to buy a new TV just like you.
Well, it's just to the point where what happened over there with the killing, and I will use that word and say it proudly the killing of Baghdadi. This coward, this worthless vermin, gathered up 3 of his children and was racing down the tunnel away from the team that was after him, and in a coward's way out, he not only killed himself by pulling on the cord that was attached to a bomb explosive on his vest, but he also killed his children. I have no use for this person.
This is ISIS' favorite trick, is to use children for a shield.
Well, he wasn't so much using them as a shield. He was trying to use them and his family name as martyrs to the cause. He's nothing more than a worthless coward. They said before he pulled the string, he was whimpering and whining and yelling and screaming, and I'm glad he's gone. And anybody that wants to arbitrate with that, feel free to give me a call. Keith, I appreciate you breaking the ice this morning, and thanks for raising my blood pressure. God bless you.
Oh, I just revel in that.
Okay, take care. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant. Oh, I tell you what, they are so good. Deanne just absolutely loves those strawberry crepes. They are really, really tasty. Well, anything and everything over there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time. Really great. And the staff, Michelle goes out of her way to be so kind to us at Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Absolutely phenomenal. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Take your friends, take your neighbors, take your family. Enjoy great food at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Also, Dr. Bill and the crew, and this is a classic day to remind you of this. Tonight and tomorrow night, with temperatures really getting down there in the single digits, make sure that your animals have adequate water, not frozen. Make sure they've got water all the time. It's a very critical time during the cold days to make sure that they have adequate supplies of water. And also, it's time to be deworming those horses, and make sure all your vaccinations are up to date. Make sure your animals are at a place and location where they can withstand the cold temperatures. All of this from Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And it's true, you call them, they can help, and they will help you with your animals. 678-1177, where they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, I happen to remember something happened, about 10 days ago or so. They were having a meeting at the White House on Syrian strategy, and Nancy Pelosi and Schumer decided to get up and walk out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she should have stayed in that meeting and would have found something out.
No, Doug, I don't want her to know anything more than what is absolutely by the law. And this was a very highly concealed raid on the number one terrorist and number one killer with ISIS, al-Baghdadi. And I am so proud of our special forces and President Trump and the way they planned this raid. It had to be right down to the gnat's eyebrow. They had to know absolutely everything about where they would be, what time they would be there, and I think if anything would have leaked out, then our soldiers, our people would have been at high risk.
Exactly. I agree with you. I was being a little sarcastic towards Pelosi. She wants to know everything, but she won't stay in a meeting. She won't talk to anybody to find out what's going on.
The Democrats are not worthy of any respect, and I mean that. If you folks out there in the audience are Democrats and you're really cursing at me right now under your breath, why in the world should anybody respect you for what you're doing right now as a party to uproot and absolutely tear apart the fabric of our Constitution? Let me ask you something, Doug, real quick. Why does this person, Donald Trump, deserve anything less than other people according to the law? Why is he presumed guilty on everything instead of presumed innocent until proven guilty?
Because they have nothing to prove him guilty. That's their only game plan. And respect is a two-way street. You've got to give it before you can earn it.
You know, and I can't respect anyone that is their sole purpose to just dig and dig and dig and scratch and itch and try to create like the whack-a-mole theory, hit it here and then hit it over here, of trying to dig up dirt on this presidency. You know, I'm proud of what the Trump administration did in killing this man, and I'm proud of our special forces. And did you read what the Washington Post said about this vermin Abu Baghdadi?
Yes.
They praised him, and they said that he was a religious scholar. I about threw up when I heard about that. There is such a praising for these absolutely heinous Muslims that want to do nothing more than kill us.
I know. It's a sad day when our news, which is supposed to just give us the news, has become a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, much like it was in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Nazi Germany. The news people were spewing out what Hitler wanted them to go out. And that's exactly what the news is doing today. Most of the news is biased one side, and they won't even report any good things on the other side.
How much do you want to bet? And I'm sure that you'll probably be on my side on this, so really we would be betting against each other. But how much do you want to bet that tonight on most of the network cable news shows and ABC, CNN, CBS, etc., there will be a hue and cry against Donald Trump, not for going and getting Baghdadi, but for not informing the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and leaving them out in the cold. There is going to be absolutely insurrection over this. I'll bet on it.
Oh, they're going to scream and cry like a bunch of babies, but they can scream and cry all they want. President Trump is still their president.
Well, I'll tell you what. It was a very secret mission. There were very, very few people that knew this was going to happen. If there would have been a leak, it would have not only totally denigrated what they were trying to do and who they were trying to get. I am so glad that they were committed to a target and they got him. Now, there are 6 others on the power list for ISIS. And if I were one of those 6 on that power list for ISIS, I think I would be almost ready to pay a lot more in my laundry bill at the laundromat.
I'd be finding a deep hole and get in it and stay. And isn't that interesting? Here they are religious leaders, but they got to live in caves because they're afraid of the American military.
I won't qualify them as religious leaders. No way. I won't give them the option of even having the respect on that terminology. They're nothing more than heinous killers and terrorists. This Abu Baghdadi was the man that was responsible for that. I believe her last name was Mueller. And she was kidnapped, and she was forced to do terrible things for Baghdadi and others. Then they cut her head off. He was also responsible for many more beheadings. He's not anything but trash, filth, and absolutely wormwood.
Well, yeah, he's evil. That's a very way to put it. He is of Satan.
I agree. Doug, always appreciate your comment. Thank you very much.
All righty. Everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Go visit, go eat lunch there, and you will be enlightened when you leave because of all of the knowledge that is in that room.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. I got to get this in real quick, and I'm running a little bit late. What else is new? Let your house welcome you home with the perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access, so you can adjust it anywhere, anytime. And you can check it out, how to do this with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Make yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. You call them today. Also, a couple of minutes, I'm going to be giving away some cookies, so don't forget about that. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Dino's Septic Service. Wow. They are always right there. I mean, they really are service-oriented. I know we used them about a year ago, and I'll tell you what, they did a phenomenal job. Fast, fair, friendly service. Dino's Septic Service doing the job that you and I don't want to do. Septic tanks and drain fields installed, septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines clean, all of this and more. And like I said, they've recently expanded to better serve more people. Get a hold of them today, 436-6526 or 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service with the big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, I think there's a couple things that most people are still not aware of, is that Islam is a theocracy to control the world. And they hide behind this religious facade. But these ISIS killers, they say, well, they're the, not the norm of their religion. They're just the front man for what they represent, murder and killing. It's not a religion of peace and brotherhood or theocracy.
All right, now, Adrian, I'm going to jump in on you right there. Wait a minute, I'm going to jump in. We're going to have a two-way conversation on this. I'm going to be really careful, and I'm going to be saying that not all, and I'm going to underline these words, and I'm going to stand true to what I say. I'm going to say that not all Muslims share the same killing terrorist activity or thought, and that was proven when Dr. Zuhdi Jasser was asked about certain things about what's happening with his faith and the terrorism and the hate and the cultishness, etc. So we can't lump them all in the same bag and throw the cats in the lake. We can't do that. But I will say that when it comes to this radical Islam, it's got to be stopped, it's got to be obliterated, and kudos to Donald Trump for what he did.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is important that we realize, Donald Trump, he gets beat up on everything. And, of course, in the next couple of days, we're going to have record-breaking cold. I mean, really record-breaking cold. And, of course, he's been criticized again in the paper for getting us out of the climate accord, the Paris Climate Accord, and so forth. But he's one step ahead of these idiots out there that think they know so much. And I wouldn't give Pelosi the time of day if she called up and say, what time is it? Because you can't trust these people.
Well, let me jump in on you here. And this morning in the paper, did you read this morning's paper?
I just glanced at it.
All right. Go to the op-ed page, and there's an editorial in there from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that our wonderful, illustrious Times News felt the need to reprint it. And here's the funny part, Adrian, and I got to run because I'm late. But read the story. It's called Trump's Anti-Science Hokum. Okay? It's on the op-ed page. But these nitwits at the Times News, they didn't finish the op-ed. They just ended it in mid-word, mid-season, and mid-paragraph, and they didn't finish the story. That shows that their proofreader absolutely is asleep at the switch at the Times News, and the facts, supposedly, underline that word, that were used in this climate change theory are absolutely ridiculous. I want you to read it. I want you to call me tomorrow, and we'll discuss it, okay?
Well, anyway, I wanted to point out,
quickly.
I turn in a letter. I get one a month in the Times News. They refused to print my letter this month because I was pointing out the facts about what the UN has been doing to this country. They refused to print it.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
I know it.
I did it in 2 weeks ago, and they are the enemy.
I got to run. I want to discuss. I agree with you.
All this stuff, like putting this stuff in the Washington Post and Dispatch and so forth, and Jim Jones and the rest of it. But people need to be aware we do not have freedom of press or speech in this valley in our local paper here.
I agree with you. Adrian, thank you. I appreciate it.
And call back tomorrow.
All right, sir. I hope you do. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate your call.
Thank you.
I am running about 3 to 4 minutes late, so bear with me. I want to remind you that Mark Rosa is running for the mayorship of Heyburn, and he wants your vote on November 5th. Mark's invested in Heyburn. He owns his own personal home as well as rental property in Heyburn. He's a small businessman, and he wants to make sure that you get the most out of your money, and he wants to help you in the future as mayor of Heyburn. So don't forget, vote for Mark Rosa for Heyburn Mayor on November 5th, paid for by Mark Rosa for Mayor. That's just around the corner, too. We got all those elections coming up, so stay tuned for that. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Redder Showcase. Man, I am so late. Stand by for the cookie giveaway. I got to turn my lips up a little faster, and here we go. Redder Showcase at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. They are going to have a one-night-only Friday, November 1st, great, big, huge sale. What more can I say? This coming Friday, free gifts for the first 50 customers. The sale starts at 4 in the afternoon, goes till 9 o'clock. Free Papa Kelsey cinnamon rolls. Woo! They're going to have all kinds of goodies. And you can enter the drawing for various big prizes like a Serta Queen set, KitchenAid stand mixer, your choice of wall art. I'm telling you, you'd better get in there and check it out at Redder Showcase this Friday night. One night only from 4 to 9 at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. Redder Showcase. Wow. Now, we're going to give away some cookies, and I want to remind you that if you're the cookie winner, be sure to call Sophie's Chatterbox and tell them when you'll be over to get your cookies. And we really appreciate Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. The best of a bakery, the best of a restaurant, delicious. Thank you very much. Here's the question. I'm going to have you put your thinking cap on a little bit this morning. Who was the actor? Who was the actor that played Sergeant York in the 1941 produced movie? And this actor won an Oscar for his portrayal of Sergeant York. Who was the actor that won an Oscar for his portrayal of Sergeant York? Quickly, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call real fast. Who was the actor that played Sergeant York? And he won an Oscar in that 1941 movie. Name the actor quickly. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you over at Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert, they're going to have a big early bird sale on Friday night, November 1st. Holy moly! And if you have your email coupons, you can save all kinds of money. They're going to have Christmas home decor, all kinds of it, business embroidery, and don't forget, they offer brands from Carhartt, Nike, Adidas, Bell Canvas, and the North Face, to name a few. And if you mention my name, Zeb Bell, you get free digitizing. That's up to a $50 value. Better get over there. Tell them you heard it on my program. Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert for a big early bird sale on Friday, November 1st, and then the big sale, of course, always the first part of the month, every month at Mad River Laser. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Wheels, you got to turn them up, buddy. Come on.
All right, he's there, sir.
Caller, good morning.
Good morning. I think it was Gary Cooper.
Who am I talking to?
Jim Roberts.
Jim, where are you from?
I live just outside of Rupert.
It was Gary Cooper. You're 100% spot on correct. And the old yup and nope man was the portrayal of Sergeant York. And call over there to Sophie's Chatterbox. Tell them when you're coming in for your cookies. They'll have them ready for you, Jim.
All right, I'll do her. Thanks, Sam.
You betcha, buddy. Thank you very, very much. Yep, it was Gary Cooper. And, Gary Cooper, you got to hand it to him. I mean, when you first saw him in some of his early movies, some of his cowboy movies, oh, he didn't really have too much acting talent. It was kind of indicative of the times, just get on the horse, ride the horse, shoot the gun, get off the horse, go kiss the girl, and end of movie. And, but boy, I mean, he did a great job in the portrayal of Sergeant York and won an Academy Award. Gary Cooper and Jim Roberts, you are 100% right. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This next story, it kind of dovetails into the killing of al-Baghdadi, and I'm so glad that vermin is dead this morning. But listen to this. A girl by the name of Callie Wood, back in Maryland at a high school. She refused to take part in a school assignment to write the Islamic conversion prayer that states, "There is no God but Allah." And the reason that she refused to get involved in this school assignment is because she's a Christian. And she believed it directly contradicted her Christian faith. God bless her for standing up for this. And it went as far as the Supreme Court. And the High Court denied a petition filed on behalf of this junior in high school that absolutely has angered many, many conservative commentators. And many people are seeing this as we and school systems around the United States are caving into the indoctrination in schools and on college campuses of Muslims. Reverend Mario Alex Potello wrote, "This is not just a violation of the First Amendment, but an ongoing, albeit subtle, diffusion of Islam in our Western society. The schools are promoting Islam over Christianity or any other religion, and you have a double standard, which we think is a violation of the Establishment Clause." Absolutely the truth. She stood up, and she says, "No, I will not write an assignment that says there is no God but Allah." My question to you out in the audience is, and I want somebody to respond to this, would you go against all the beliefs that you were raised with? Would you go against the value system that you have? And would you absolutely, like Peter in the courtyard, back when Christ was in front of the high court, would you reject Jesus and your beliefs? Would you? This girl, this Maryland high school student, a junior, Callie Wood, said, "No, I will not write that. I will not believe in it. I won't have a part in it." And she got an F. And then the story isn't over. She was forced to watch a pro-Islam PowerPoint presentation that denigrated her Christianity and basically said the Christians are not as faithful as Muslims. And that is absolutely wrong. So wrong. I would gather up my family and be right in the face of that superintendent, that principal, and that school board in 5 minutes. This is insane. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, if I could find out where it is and who it is, I'll give them a call. It doesn't take forever. I don't spend all day on the phone, but sometimes you have to do with the right thing. And letting the principals and the school board and whoever off the hook, and they get away with it. So they just keep doing it. You know what? There is no gray. There's only black and white. It's just, if you study Christ, the Savior, the creation, you know for a fact that there is a God and that Christ is your Savior. And playing games with it isn't an option. You deny Christ, and that's it. You were standing before your Heavenly Father and you say, whatever excuse you have, excuses don't work.
hold on. Let me jump in here a little bit, Randy. Let me jump in. Number one, this story right here is absolutely indicative of why pastors and ministers are failing from the public to tell the public what's going on in their communities.
Yeah. They're so busy trying to keep the seats full and keep the coffers full, they're not doing their job. We are supposed to stand for right, and even though we might be persecuted, we will have to. We can't buckle. It ain't fun. Sure, it might be easy for me to say this here in southern Idaho. And would I be strong enough to say it somewhere else? I would like to think so. You know, I'm willing to die for my God and my country. But I don't want my family persecuted, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, I can tell you what, Randy, all I have right here in front of me currently, and I'm in the process of finding out more of a specific town and more of a specific address, if you will. All I know is that it's a Maryland high school student, Callie Wood, a junior, that was forced to take part in a school assignment on There Is No God But Allah, and then after that she said no. Then she was forced into a indoctrination ceremony to watch a pro-Islam PowerPoint. I'll tell you what, if I were her parents, I'd have had her out of that school, like I said earlier, in 5 minutes. And there would have been a complete condemnation and damnation to the principal and the school board.
I would have taken. That's right. What are parents thinking about? Their kids are teaching them sex education that goes to a point where you can't even believe it. They're teaching Allah is the only God, indoctrination of Islam and Christ and Christianity, the Constitution. Oh, you know, it scares me what our kids are going to turn out to be.
You've got it. Listen,
parenting, we just have to fight like hell for. It's never too late to be a good parent.
That's exactly right. I've got to run and do some commercials, but I want other people to call on this. I mean, this is absolutely insidious as to what's happening and evil. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, for the big jobs, you need good, tough equipment. Well, they've got all of it at Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders, excavators. They've got all the Bobcats, all the different shapes, sizes, everything for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. They've got all the equipment to get the job done. Absolutely. You get a hold of them today. People that really know, and if you're not sure how to run the equipment, at the Burley location, they got a big sandbox out behind. They'll teach you. Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. You get a hold of them today. Once again, a reminder that here we go. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox all teamed up to offer the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, anytime. Check it out today. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a brand new system. So keep comfy. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Honestly, folks, where are you? This is an issue that needs to be discussed. This girl took an F in class because she wouldn't go against her Christian values. God bless her. Some of you, I hope not many, might be saying, well, how dare she go against her teacher? How dare she go against what was ordered in the classroom? Well, I give her kudos for doing it. She would not go against her religion and her Christian faith. God bless her. And then a forced indoctrination session. Oh, well, you didn't go along with us, so we're going to stick you in a room, and we're going to make you watch pro-Islam PowerPoint presentation that absolutely is going to denigrate your religion as a Christian and basically say that Christians are not as faithful as Muslims. We gotcha. This is sick. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on. On stories like this, like this, you need to be adamantly involved and speak out. Give me a call. Time for our weather while I'm waiting for your phone call. And our weather, of course, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And I want to just mention, they're right, as you know, behind the Minidoka Hospital. They're easy to find. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And they're very thankful for our service of our veterans. And they're doing something for the veterans that I really respect. Veterans, they want you to know that they can provide all your hearing health care through the VA Community Care Program. And during the week of November 11th through the 15th, stop over to their office. They have a small gift for you, veterans, as a token of their gratitude for your service at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this final Monday in October, and it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. High of 40. It is going to be breezy with a southwest wind at about 10 miles an hour, increasing to about 15 miles an hour by this afternoon. Wind could gust as high as about 32. For tonight, 40% chance of snow showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 16. We are expecting accumulations of less than a half an inch possible tomorrow. 50% chance of showers in the morning hours, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon. High of 28, blustery with the north wind at about 13 miles an hour. That's going to be increasing by the afternoon. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 6. Then by Wednesday, sunny skies and 33. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much. And the number to call over to Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids for a hearing screening, 208-417-8799. That number again, 417-8799, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. To be honest with you, I just got in my truck and turned on the radio, and you were talking about forced participation in the Muslim religion because Christians are awful and all that. Well, ain't nobody going to make me get on my knees and bow to anybody I don't want to. It ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I understand that I didn't get the whole story, and there are people trying to re-educate people how the Muslim religion is such a peaceful religion, which I call bull crap on. But you're just not going to make me do it, and you're not going to force my kids to do it. You're not going to force my wife to do it. So people just need to get that out of their head.
You know, I respect the attitude that you're showing on this because it's an attitude that I really think needs to purvey itself over this because we are. Have you noticed, Riley, real quick, on television, whether you're watching a basketball game, football game, baseball game, it doesn't make any difference. Have you noticed the influx of acceptance, and I underline that word acceptance, of Muslims and their dress, their headgear, etc., on many, many, many commercials in primetime TV. Well, I, for one, I'm not going to buy into this. I am not going to allow my family to buy into this. I don't care about anybody that I step on their toes. When a high school junior is forced to take part in an indoctrination of Muslim faith over Christianity, I'm fighting mad, Riley, buddy.
It's for one, the biggest thing that ticks me off in that situation is that is a school of learning. They have no business telling our kids what religion is best. Because remember, people want to fight tooth and nail for separation of church and state, even though that's not exactly what it was all about, but they want to do that so much that they took prayer out of the school. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander in my book, and by golly, if my kid can't go to school and say a prayer before his class or read a little bit of scripture out of the Bible before his school day begins, then you think I'm going to tolerate somebody trying to force him down on his knees to do something on some carpet to somebody? It's just not going to happen, Ted.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing before I hang up. I will die. I will give up my life for anybody in this area who has been forced to try to do that.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to tolerate it.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I did when I signed up with the Army, when I was 18 years old. I made a vow then that I would protect the people of these United States, and by golly, I will.
You know, I appreciate your really jumping into the fray, Riley. I always appreciate your calls. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Zeb, it's a sad day
when we can't read the Bible in the schools, and yet we're forced to read the Quran and be indoctrined on that doctrine. What have we come to in this nation that the law will allow that?
I'll tell you what it is, and I know who this caller is, and I know that of your service to this great state of Idaho and to our government. It's appeasement. Underline that word, appeasement. We're trying to appease these people and try to welcome them into the fold by embracing their philosophy of killing and hate and everything else. It's appeasement. I, for one, am absolutely sickened by this story that a high school junior, a girl, would be subjected to getting an F because she wouldn't allow her mind to be warped by no God but Allah, and then forced to be indoctrinated into watching a pro-Muslim video, and then forced to recite a Muslim prayer. As far as I'm concerned, Bert, this is now the line in the sand, and somebody better stop this.
Well, I agree with you on that 100%. I just, it's hard for me to understand what you're right when you say that we're trying to appease everything. There's no evil, there's only, everything's good. And that isn't the way it's supposed to be.
If you can't have your convictions, and I know you do, I have always had the utmost respect for you, your convictions, your attitude, and your thoughts and caring for others. But when our Christian faith is denigrated and we're told to denounce it, and say that another faith is of better quality and that Christians are not as faithful as Muslims, I stand that girl on a pedestal and I say, God bless her, because she stood up as very few high schoolers would and told the bad people no.
So you're 100% right. Appreciate your bringing this up this morning.
God bless you, Bert. Thank you so much for your call. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very, very much. I don't think that there's ever been a story in months that has made me this fighting mad. And, oh, yeah, we've got some of the appeasers and some of the liberal left kooks that live right here in this area. They're all upset right now. Oh, well, we've got to love one another. Oh, well, we've got to welcome everybody into the fold. My foot. Almost got carried away. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zev. Now you got my blood pressure up.
All right, buddy. Hurry. I'm almost out of time.
Okay. Our school board here in Cassia County, I know two of the very, very finest gentlemen. That's Darren Moon and Bruce Thompson. I would stake my life on them that they would not enter into any kind of thing like that, because these are men of courage.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope there's many, 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 many more men and women of courage that'll stand up and say, this is enough. I mean, my goodness, a high school junior, a girl can't sit there and say, no, I will not write this. I refuse. And then she takes an F. Then she's forced to be indoctrinated. Where were the parents? Where's the rest of the community saying, what in the hell are you doing, school board?
Well, the other thing that I think would be a good idea in our high schools or maybe even junior high is for all these teachers to sign a pledge that they will not even bring up the Muslim religion.
Well, I'm really upset about this because we hear so much about, oh, they had a Christian prayer before a football game. Why, we've got to banish those students, and we've got to take away all their victories, and we've got to just make that school an example of you can never mention Christianity. And then this poor girl is forced to denounce and renounce her Christian faith. This is absolutely insane, Keith.
Yes, and I think in the future, and there is election coming up. I don't know who's running or anything on most of the issues, but if they would make a pledge like that and then stick with it, I would appreciate them a lot more.
I'll tell you what, every day if people would just take the time to find out what is so wrong with our society and how that wrong is growing like a cancer, we've got to stand up. And I again point my finger at the pastors and the ministers in the churches. They should be absolutely preaching out on this, and they're not saying a word. Got to run, Keith. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
You bet. Have a wonderful day.
I want to thank our major sponsor, to which I have absolute appreciation. They are wonderful, wonderful people serving you, all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And they're having that big fall tire sale go on right now. And they've been doing the right thing since 1952. I urge you to get a hold of them. Stop in and see them today for the best of tires, the best of brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more. But always the best of service to you. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland and Burley, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. That's all I've got, and then I've got to go to the news. Quickly.
Let us not forget what brought us to this country, Zim.
Absolutely.
50 years ago.
Absolutely. This was a Christian nation, and I hope it will retain its Christian nation attitude. Earl, I got to run to the news, but I do appreciate you always, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to take off for the news from CBS. Be back in about 7 minutes with Richard Manning, and believe me, we're going to discuss this and other stories. Don't go away. Oh, here we go. Hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning on a Monday, October 28th. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a great big fall tire sale. Stop in and see them today. And a big thank you to some other great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, along with Elite Fitness. Don't forget. And at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, they are helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the shores struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, be sure and get on the route service. And how do you get on that route service? Well, you just call the number 734-6969. Tell them where you live and let them take care of the rest. And your garbage is going to be picked up. It's gone. It's out of there. They are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, the best. Again, that number, 734-6969. You get a hold of them today. More on our political news, of course. Heyburn Mayor Cleo Gallegos. I'm going to mess this up, and I did. I've been practicing this name, and I'm going to say it right. Cleo Gallegos. There we go, is running for Heyburn Mayor again. She wants your vote for re-election, and she says that she wants to ensure that Heyburn has a clean and responsible wastewater operation and that the water system is protected and provides clean, safe water to all citizens. She wants to help guide Heyburn in the future, and she's asking for your vote on November 5th. And that's, of course, re-elect Heyburn Mayor Cleo Gallegos, and paid for by Cleo Gallegos for Mayor Committee. Wow. Sometimes I get a tongue twister, and I can't handle it. I did, though, finally. Want to remind you, too, about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. There you go. I messed up another one. That's going to be a good Monday when I get Rick on the phone in a minute. Along with Elite Fitness, they are teaming up to make sure that you can get back to being you. That's right. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Says, come on in. We can help you with all the aching and the paining and the recuperation operation from surgery or an accident. Nick Greenwell and his entire staff serving you with the best of exercises and, of course, the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in southern Idaho. So please get a hold of them today. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Excellent people serving you. And last but not least, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Hanson Mortuary. And Joel Heward, his family, his staff, everybody there serving you and your family with absolutely the best possible support and comfort when there's the passing of a loved one. Joel Heward, family, staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. And they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please let them help you. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It's Monday, and I am so honored to have this gentleman on my program, and he's got a little sand, and I mean that with all due respect. He's going to tell it like it is, and he's going to tell others how it is, and that's, of course, the President for Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you?
Well,
and good job on the introduction. I was afraid I was going to be like Government for Limited Americans or something like that. It was, after listening to the intros, some of the ad reads. It was so good job.
Thank you very much. And, Rick, I got to tell you that when I lose my temper, I'm raised in a German family, and it's gone. It's out of there. It's an out-of-the-park home run, and it takes a while for me to calm down. There's a couple of issues that I'm really upset about. Now, I'm going to try to go in a rifle approach this morning so we can spend a little time on each one of them. First and foremost, you recently issued a statement urging the Senate to sponsor and pass a resolution condemning the House impeachment process, and you took also a careful aim, and I admire you for this, for Senator Mitt Romney to basically get his act in order. Would you give us kind of an evaluation of what you sent to the Senate?
Sure. The Lindsey Graham had a resolution that now has 50 co-sponsors, including Graham, which says very specifically, calls to task the House impeachment process as being unfair, not following due process, and illegitimate. And so it's essentially a statement by the Senate that that the House needs to either go through a normal impeachment process or drop this charade. And there were 3 Republicans who had not signed on today. When I originally put the statement out, there were 40 Republicans on it. So there were, so we called out a number of Republicans. Subsequently, all of them got on but 3. Senator Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins from Maine. And so those 3 remain off of it. The second one we sent out was very directed. It was directed not just as kind of an update, because we were at 50 at that point, and it achieved basically what we wanted to achieve in terms of getting the ones who should have gotten onto the resolution. And so we then focused on 3 Democrats. And the 3 Democrats that we focused on were Kristen Sinema from Arizona, the Manchin from West Virginia, and Doug Jones from Alabama. Because those are the 3 Democrats who are most likely to be willing to sign on, either based on politics or personal philosophy. So it isn't just a partisan issue; it is a bipartisan issue of whether or not you're going to have fair, honest impeachment hearings. And I don't think it's unreasonable to expect people of both parties to agree to that. And so we name names. We always do. We name names, and because if we don't, then it's empty. And we have to let people know who are doing the right thing and who isn't doing the right thing. And both senators from Idaho were on board, and were on board early. So that's a good indication of where they are in terms of being concerned about the illegitimate impeachment process.
If you or I were conducting any kind of a trial, underline that word, or information for a trial against a citizen or a group that was ascertained that they had committed some illegality, we would be trying to find all the facts and all the proof before we indicted them on this crime, if there was one. I have never seen anything so completely unbalanced and unhinged as accusing the president of a crime which has not been designated or elaborated on, and going behind closed doors and playing whack-a-mole and trying to come up with more of the idiotic facts, if you will. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, it is pretty unusual. I will tell you, there is, if they were not leaking selective information from the people they're having as witnesses, you can at least claim that it's a investigation designed to protect everybody by keeping the information to themselves. But given the selective leaks that seemingly always leak the most damaging stuff, but then don't bother to say in 2 minutes the entire testimony was destroyed because the person who was testifying had no first-hand knowledge, was operating off of basically hearsay once again, that but because they aren't open hearings, we don't hear the cross-examination. We get the testimony leaked, and the testimony itself, the written testimony, has been carefully contrived by the Senate, by the House Intel Committee majority staff, whose job is to put together an impeachment case. So it's fraudulent in that it is not transparent. If nothing else, if they had transparency, at least the American public could, view it and judge for themselves. But it's the very lack of transparency that delegitimizes it, much more so than even the fact of not allowing the president to present to cross and to do those kinds of things with these witnesses, and not really providing any due process in terms of the Republicans being able to call witnesses that might have a contrary opinion to what's being stated to the majority. So there's lots of challenges with it from a due process standpoint, but my biggest complaint is there's no transparency, because this is from a straight wanting America to survive perspective.
Absolutely.
The Democrats go forward with a behind-the-scenes, closed-door process to justify the impeachment of a president, and they don't. And there's never a case, an honest case made to the American people that it was for why they're doing it. This country will be torn apart like no time in our history besides one. And I'm cognizant of the 60s, and that will pale by comparison. And it's dangerous, it's wrong, it's irresponsible, and it's politically motivated, and it's reprehensible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a caller, and caller, I'm going to limit your time because I'm short on time. So quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, yesterday on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, who is a worm, an absolute worm.
Okay, but go to the point, caller, please.
Okay, well, he didn't do his job. Yesterday they were talking about this impeachment hearing as if it was legitimate. And he's supposed to be Fox News, and Mo Ellerby, or whatever he said, they were talking like this thing was a legitimate, situation, and it wasn't. And he was wondering why no more Republicans hadn't stood up and defended the president, which is shocking, but what's new? But you see, when Chris Wallace was asked about, when he brought up the criminal referral from, Attorney General Barr, Chris Wallace acted like he didn't even think it was legitimate. It's such a pile, I can't even believe it. I'm going to hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, if you would, Rick.
Fox News is going through an ownership transition between Rupert Murdoch and his sons, and it's reflecting in the broadcasting.
It is. Absolutely. I want to get right into another subject, and this is the one that's got my blood boiling this morning. First of all, I want to give kudos to the President Trump, his administration, and the special forces that went in and made sure that Abu Baghdadi is dead and gone to hell where he belongs. And for the Democrats to complain, Nancy Pelosi specifically, saying, well, I should have been involved. I should have known this, everything else. President Trump was deathly afraid of leaks that would have put our special forces in jeopardy. How would you respond to Pelosi and the Democrats saying, well, we should have known everything that's going on? How would you respond?
Well, don't leak everything you're told, and then you get told stuff. It's very simple. Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff have proven themselves to be unreliable national security partners, and given the number of leaks that are occurring from those two individuals, and not to mention the Senate side, if I were the President of the United States and I was going to put our armed forces in harm's way on a mission that was extremely dangerous, we flew through territory controlled by the Turks, by the Kurds, by the Russians, by the Syrians, in order to accomplish the mission. And we needed to have a corridor provided. We worked with those nations to get the corridor done. And the fact is, and then we landed, we took the guy out, and it was a really, really dangerous, important mission. And all it took was for one loose lip to try to leak something to their girlfriend who works for one of the newspapers in town, and you would have had the whole thing blown up, and you would have had American soldiers dead. So yes, Donald Trump kept his mouth shut. People don't believe Donald Trump can keep his mouth shut. He proved he can. He knows that other people in Washington, D.C. can't, and he rightfully put the lives of those troops, those people on that mission. He put their lives first, and he'll take the heat from Nancy Pelosi for not telling her what was going on any day of the week, because he has a successful mission. And oh, by the way, nobody was killed. There was one service dog that's injured as in the mission. So it was a phenomenally successful mission, and now he's going to take a bunch of junk for it by a bunch of partisans who continually put their party ahead of their country. And quite honestly, cutting them out was the best thing that he could have done.
Yeah, and I want you to elaborate a little bit on how bad, evil, and sinister this Abu Baghdadi was. He was nothing more than vermin. He beheaded people. He put an American girl through torturous situations and then killed her. I mean, this man was absolutely worthless. And yet the Washington Post came out in a headline that I'm sure you've read and basically called him a religious scholar. I about threw up.
Yeah, the wire-rimmed, when you read the article, he was the wire-rimmed wearing religious scholar. Yeah, the mission was called, it was named after one of the people who al-Baghdadi killed, one of the Americans al-Baghdadi killed, Ms. Mueller. And that name comes up a lot, no relation. And she was taken captive in 2013. She was enslaved in 2013. She was raped. She was brutalized. She was forced to be the wife of al-Baghdadi. And then she was murdered in 2015. She never gave up her religion, her Christian religion. She claimed Jesus all along, and they murdered her for it. Murdered her because she was an American Christian. And so the armed forces, the DOD named the mission after her to remind every single person on that mission just how evil this person was. This is a guy who actually, when a Jordanian Air Force pilot was captured, they burned him alive in a cage. Okay? They used to put Christians and crucified Christians all over the place, all over the region. They beheaded little boys and little girls who wouldn't give up their faith. They put people in cages and let water fill up until they drown in cages. And they put it all on video. They beheaded numerous American journalists. They were ISIS under what it was and is everything that is evil in the world. And for anyone like the Washington Post to attempt to whitewash this in some way, downgrade the importance of what just happened, and is beyond despicable. And I have to say, the fact the Washington Post came out with that headline, and then they had one headline, they changed it to the one that was that most people have seen, and then they went back and did it to a different headline. The fact they've been infiltrated to the extent that somebody could put a headline up on their website that was complimentary to al-Baghdadi is almost beyond comprehension. And the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, every time you buy Amazon, you support them. Amazon needs to take a look and clean that place out from top to bottom, because they've been infiltrated in ways that I don't think Jeff Bezos can even imagine.
Yeah, and there were even some Democrats, and I really want to point my finger at these people. There were even some Democrats that spoke up and said, oh, Abu Baghdadi should have had a proper funeral. Okay, I'll allow that. Let me go borrow my neighbor's cat litter box, and I'll send it back so we can bury Baghdadi.
Yeah, it's one of the things that the Obama administration did with Osama bin Laden is they gave him a burial at sea, essentially an Islamic burial at sea, and and gave him all the normal rights that the Islamic faith demands. But you know what? Too bad. This guy. First of all, think about this. He took 3 of his children with him.
Yep.
He blew up 3 of his own children while he was committing suicide. He just, do the whole Japanese harikari thing. No, he blew up 3 of his own children. I mean, you can't encapsulate how evil this guy is, and to treat him as anything other than an evil criminal would have been an injustice. And so this president doesn't play games. He doesn't do we've got to treat them with such respect. No, he says, you're evil, you're bad, you killed a bunch of our people, you're gone. And and that's the right way to do it.
Rick, let me ask you real quick. I've got a minute and a half left, but every week it seems like our process back with the Democrats and impeachment and supposedly new information and whistleblowers, et cetera, it just seems like it's an enveloping cancer that gets big every week. What do you think is happening? Are we going to see any curtailment, any end of this thing prior to Thanksgiving, or are the Democrats going to keep raking up this garden continually?
It's all they've got. And if I can take this minute, because it's really important. Senator from Idaho, Jim Risch, is the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He is the guy who can actually call the ambassadors into his committee and get them and say, let's do a hearing on this where the people can see, where you can ask questions, where you can discover, they don't really know anything about what they're talking about. They're relying on secondhand information. They're embittered because they were cut out of the process, because Trump didn't trust them, and he had other people working around them, because there were Obama embeds. Okay? That's the truth about what's going on. And I hope the Senate, and again, this thing we talked about at the beginning of the segment about the resolution's great. Now they need to start holding hearings and taking those witnesses through behind closed doors, putting them out in front of the public, and having them testify. Since what we learned last week is that nothing that the House Intel Committee is doing is actually classified. So there's no reason for it to be behind closed doors. So if it's not classified, let's open it up. Let's see what they've got, and let's make an honest judgment about what's going on. Otherwise, we're fighting ghosts forever, and they've got to hope that somewhere they'll open up a Christmas present, and that Christmas present will have something in it. But right now, they got nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the best at having on the air to explain everything that's going on with the evils of politics and what's happening against this Trump administration. Americans for Limited Government President Rick Manning, a friend of this program, and I appreciate it. Rick, God bless you. See you next Monday. Thank you. God bless. Thank you. He's a straight shooter, and I have absolutely utmost respect for what he does and what he says. Rick Manning, thank you very, very much. I got to pay some bills, and then we've got our next guest waiting, and I can't wait to get him on the program this morning. Frosty Woldridge in just a minute. Don't forget Redder Showcase at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're going to have a one-night-only special sale this coming Friday night, November 1st, and it's going to be from 4 to 9 p.m., and they've got free gifts for the first 50 customers that come in the door. They're going to have drawings for all kinds of great, great prizes, and they're going to have factory representatives on hand, and they're going to have doorbusters like a $50 pillow, half off, now just $24.95, 20% off on all pillows and sheets. Wow, up to 18 months, same as cash on approved credit. Don't forget this Friday night, and that's going to be from 4 to 9 at Redder Showcase, 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. Wow, it's going to be quite a deal. Hey, don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox all teamed up with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat that features remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Check it out. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Make yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Don't forget, check that out today. And, of course, I also want to acknowledge our dear friends with Let's Ride. My goodness, get your motor running. I'm telling you, they really do a great job. And Let's Ride, located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. And they've got all the new snowmobiles there, all the snow bikes, everything. And as they say, the snow is coming. It's already hit here a little bit, so be ready for it. And they're going to have a special open house over there on November 9th, so don't miss it at Let's Ride. Oh, yeah, food, door prizes, specials galore on November 9th at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. And that's really the truth. Good people over there. Oh, and Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Let's not forget them. Highway 24 in Rupert. You know, you go around that curve and bing, right there they are on the right side of the road as you're going into Rupert. When you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, don't forget the professionals. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, and they are very responsive and devoted to helping serve you. Please give them a call at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, serving you. Right now, I'm going to go to the phone line and, yes, Wheels?
I was just going to let you know that I haven't had Frosty call in yet, but I'm trying everything I can to get a hold of him.
Do you have his number? I think I gave it to you.
To be honest, I only have one number for him.
That's all I have, and I think that's him. While I'm waiting for you to establish that call, I want to remind you, too, about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. And they're located at 459 Overland in Burley with Jeff and the entire crew serving you with a great big, and I mean really big, harvest sale going on. 40% off on all furniture, mattresses, dining sets, motion furniture, bedroom groups, and more. Don't forget, they've got great special prices on fantastic furniture like Love Seat that was regularly $6.99, now just $3.79. Oh my! And recliners like a deluxe recliner was $5.29, now $2.49. Fall flooring closeout specials, save you money on your carpet. My goodness, get in there today and enjoy. Really knowledgeable people at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Jeff and the entire crew serving you at 459 Overland in Burley. No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. Harvest sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my friend from Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge, how are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Always a pleasure, sir. Boy, oh boy, it's getting cold. 10 degrees last night, snow all over the place. I guess I'm ready for old man winter.
I am never ready for old man winter because there's not enough 3-in-1 oil in the country to get my joints moving. I'm sorry. Hey, Frosty, I want to compliment you on something right off the bat this morning. And you and I have talked about this issue so much on the radio, but now more than ever before, I'm never going to weaken. I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you on this. Your article, When Minorities Become Majorities, The Tyranny of Minorities, is an excellent piece, and everyone should read it and listen to what the words say, because I'm just going to be blunt with you. There are the left loons all across the United States that want to bring in more of the refugees, more of people, even the illegal aliens, more numbers all the time that we, the taxpayers, are paying for. And it's about high time, past time, that you and I and others stood up and said enough is enough.
Well, certainly, and of course it's nice to see other writers like John Kaminsky, who said, and I'm quoting, "If we keep importing minorities, we will irreversibly step down the stairway to our own destruction," unquote. One of the things this summer really showed me visually that is exactly what's happening to our country, is the complete Somali takeover of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Over 120-something thousand of them. 93% live on EBT cards and cash welfare checks every month. They are just literally stealing money out of yours and my pockets. Well, guess what? Lewiston, Maine. Literally, the Americans that used to live in Lewiston, Maine have been driven out of Lewiston, Maine because the Somalis there, again, virtually 100% of them are on welfare. And they have literally degraded the schools, degraded the hospitals, degraded everything there in Lewiston, Maine. But the same thing's going on in places like Detroit, Michigan. Again, 93% of them on long-term, endless, cyclical welfare, and you and I are paying for it. So the question is, and I think Kaminsky really brought it to the forefront, how far we want to go down that barrel, that rabbit hole. Because as we all know, and you know from all the speaking, I've been on this radio show for the last close to 20 years, we're about to add another 35 million people to this country in the next 10 years, and we're going to be paying for all of them because they're virtually mostly immigrants from third world countries that have no ability to function in our country. So yes, and what's happening, and I'll give you an example. Does anybody realize what happened to Detroit? It was an all-American city up until 1941 when it started importing all of these people from the South, if you will, and then it turned into a nightmare, and 1.2 million Americans, literally white people, fled Detroit because of the violence, because of the schools being trashed, because of the graffiti, because of the carjacking, because of all the other consequences, and now it's become an immigrant haven for Muslims. Anybody think that's working out really well? And, of course, I was there working in Detroit through the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s. Coleman Young, who was African-American, and all of his cronies stole so many millions of dollars and just literally turned all of Detroit into a nightmare. Well, the same thing's happening in Minneapolis right now, and, of course, Detroit's being overrun with these Muslim immigrants. De facto Sharia law is being practiced. Honor killings are going on. Female genital mutilation. I think Kaminsky really nailed it right here. And he said, when minorities rule, nations strangle and die. We see it happening today all over the world. Worse than that, something to worry about. When minorities become majorities, they generally kill off the previous owners. Unquote.
Absolutely.
I stand by that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frosty, I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to read something to you that was sent to me by one of my dearest friends. It's about 90 seconds worth, and I want you to respond to it. And I think you may even have a copy of this. It says, quote, "Welcome to Idaho. You came here from there because you didn't like it there. And now you want to change here to be like there. We are not racist, phobic, or anti-whatever you are. We simply like it here the way it is. And most of us actually came here because it is not like there, wherever there was. You are welcome here, but please stop trying to make here like there. If you want here to be like there, you should not have left there to come here. And you are invited to leave here and go back there at your earliest convenience.
That reminds me of Who's on First. And that is exactly what's happening in our country right now, because all of those refugees are turning our country into what they fled, but that's what they created in their own country. And I want everyone to understand that there's no way a Somali that comes to America can create a dynamic and a vibrant and contributing society, certainly an economic system, because they simply don't have the intellectual horsepower. And so all we're doing is simply destroying that which we've built, that which we have literally contributed to, and that which we have sustained. And again, we're on course to add 110 million more third world immigrants. Anybody out there in Radio Land, any American listening to this show, any Canadians think that you're going to survive, that your children are going to have just a hunky... Look back at Detroit. I worked there. I watched it happen. When these minorities take over, they simply destroy everything in their path, and there's no getting it back. Detroit, Michigan, they can tell you all sorts of fun things like, oh, Detroit's coming back. Detroit's not coming back. It's literally becoming a welfare haven for Middle Easterners, and they're all on welfare. Again, 93% of them on welfare. And they don't just get off welfare, they live on welfare. And it pays pretty well these days.
Frosty, I've got to have you comment on this story because of your knowledge of what's going on in the various cities and your knowledge about how we, the American people, are being subjected to an Islamic takeover in our country. I don't know if you heard this story or not. I'm holding it in my hand right now. I've read the entirety of this story in the first hour. It's about a Maryland high school student by the name of Callie Woods, a junior in high school, that received an F in class because she refused to take part in a school assignment to write the Islamic conversion prayer that states there is no God but Allah. She said it is against her Christian faith. She would not do it, and she got an F. But the school then told her that in order to get back into class, she had to take an indoctrination pro-Islam video PowerPoint presentation that denigrated her Christianity and said that Christians are not as faithful as Muslims. What in the heck is going on in the United States of America?
I would sue that school system, and I would sue the teacher. I would sue the principal. I would sue the superintendent. There is a separation between church and state in this country, and that is exactly why there's a separation of church and state. She has no obligation whatsoever to follow through with any of that Islamic indoctrination. Period. If I was the father of, I would sue that entire system. I would take it to the Supreme Court. We cannot have Muslims and the Islamic, literally the most barbaric religion on the planet, and I'll go on record. I've read the Quran. It is the most barbaric, backward, 6th century religion and book on the book, misogynistic. No women's rights, no children's rights, no animal rights, no dressing rights, no free thought, no nothing. Islam should not be in America. It is counter to everything that we hold dear in our country and have built up in our country. And if we let ourselves become more Islamic, we will go the way of all those Islamic countries over there that have nothing but terrible 20,000 honor killings every year of women. In London, England right now, 1,100 acid in women's faces, hydrochloric acid thrown in 1,100 women's faces in the last number of years. That's what Muslim men do. They're violent, they are misogynistic, and it is... I could just go on and on to tell you how bad it is. We don't need them in this country.
Well,
we should stop all of them.
This is what dovetails into what I consider to be excellent news and another plus on the side of the Trump administration with the tracking down, the finding, and the killing of ISIS leader al-Baghdadi. He's dead. They got him with special forces this weekend. And the left, especially the Washington Post newspaper, says, oh, well, he was a religious scholar. The sickness that is going on in this United States is absolutely pathetic.
Well, al-Baghdadi beheaded Americans. He beheaded anybody that was against him, but he beheaded Americans. He was absolutely the cruelest. He was Muhammad's right-hand man. That's what he was, because Muhammad did the same thing, cut people's heads off. Muhammad chopped their hands off. He raped the 9- and 10-year-old girls. I mean, the guy was an absolute warlord, illiterate, and just a beast of a man. And I'll go on record to say that because that's what the Koran's all about. It is just an unbelievably violent religion. And the Washington Post had to change that entire soft, front page title to say he was an Islamic State terrorist, because they got so much feedback so fast, they absolutely changed it. So there's enough of us, the people who are going to straight talk and give the facts in this country, to stand up for our country rather than the whitewash that the Washington Post or even the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times would do. So, the Washington Post, shame on them for being absolutely out of touch with reality.
Let me ask you, when you were doing research for this piece, when minorities become majorities, the tyranny of minorities, you're bringing out facts, I want to underline that word, that absolutely, whether it's Minneapolis, Minnesota, or whether it's Los Angeles, Detroit, Jacksonville, Florida, we are under siege. And even right here in this area, we've got a mayor in this area and some of his supporters that think, bring them all in, the more the better. I am very worried about that mindset.
Well, and I'll guarantee you this. If that mindset continues and you get another 10,000 Somalis or Sudanese or Congolese up there in Idaho, and even I lambasted the High Country News for their soft powder puff piece and all these Congo immigrants coming in as refugees that have literally no ability to function in Idaho worth any kind of contribution, and yet you get this. You're going to have more consequences. You add the numbers up. You go from 10,000 of these refugees to 20,000, then 30,000, then 50,000. I guarantee you, all of Twin Falls, Idaho, Boise, Idaho, it doesn't make any difference. All of the cities that take in these refugees, you will start seeing unbelievable consequences, just like Detroit, Michigan, just like Minneapolis, Minnesota. You will rue the day that you allowed all these refugees into Idaho. It's going to absolutely degrade everything in Idaho down to the lowest common denominator. And I'm telling you, the average, again, I want to make everybody understand this, and was also in this article, the average IQ of a Somali or a Congolese or a Sudanese or any of these people from the sub-Saharan Africa is 68. Average IQ of an American is 100. There is no way that they can ever come up to and live and contribute in a first world country other than sweeping a floor or driving a cab. Then there's not enough cab jobs. There's not enough floors to sweep. And in the end, they really don't want to work at all because they never worked over in Somalia anyway. And so that's just their culture. And so that's just the harsh reality. It's not their fault, but it is their condition. We do not need to bring more of them into our country, either in Idaho or any other of the states of America, because it's only going to turn into a nightmare for all those that are around that situation and those refugees. Schools will be destroyed. Our systems will be destroyed. Our welfare systems destroyed. we're simply destroying ourselves, and I think that this article really shows it quite well.
Well, it does, and I want to read one sentence out of your article that really hit me right between the eyes because it is so truthful, and I'm going to add 2 words to it at the end of the sentence. You say, notice how huge percentages of minorities enjoy all the welfare, but refuse to participate in education and personal accountability. I would also add, and our culture. I'm very afraid as to what's happening with the demise and the denigration of our cultures.
Well, you'd be correct. And let me remember, if anybody wants to go back and read The Tragedy of Detroit, it's on the Internet by Frosty Wooldridge. I wrote it way back in 2009. And the Detroit schools, loaded with 80% minority, they literally had a flunk-out dropout rate was 78%. That was Brian Williams before he got fired. He reported on that. Well, that's what happened here in Denver, Colorado, because of all the 173 different languages. We have a 67% dropout flunk-out rate, and that hasn't improved much. And so what's happening is our kids are not getting an education because we're literally having to deal with 173 different languages, but we're also having to deal with these very low IQs, so very low intellectual horsepower, and therefore there's just no way. They're just housing these people, and they will all go on welfare and live in welfare housing and Section 8 housing, and you and I are paying for it. Does that make any sense to anyone listening to this broadcast this morning?
You know, and we talk about this every week, and yet you and I mean, the emails, the letters, the phone calls, we're the ones that are considered to be the racist and the bigots because of our attitude of standing up for the American taxpayer. This is absolutely insane how the left twists this.
Well, the left is really totally out of touch with the reality. Look what's happening in Los Angeles right now, and you've got an example of what happens when the left gets to be dominant, and then they take over. They're the ones that have started the 60,000 people who are living in tents in Los Angeles, which I've personally seen. They're the ones that have got 11,000 homeless right there in San Francisco and turned that literally that city is turned into a human defecation camp. And again, when I give you the facts, they are the facts. And facts are not racist, they're not xenophobic, they're not nativist, they're simply facts. And so the one thing that I stand on is my integrity. And facts bring out my integrity because they have nothing to do with race, creed, or color. All of us in this country are going to pay an unbelievable price in the future if this massive invasion of refugees keeps coming. And let me tell you, if we continue on this path, we're going to get another 110 million of them within 30 years.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, liberal, conservative, independent, non-involved, you think we're going to survive that? I can tell you, we are not going to have a really fun time, and our kids are not going to have a very promising future if we continue on this path. And I will stand by that, and I'll stand with you to open up the facts and simply present them, and then it's up to you and it's up to the rest of us to take action to get the 1965 Immigration Reform Act completely rescinded. We need to stop bringing in all of these people from all over the world, help them in their own countries, because they continue to add 83 million new babies, net gain every year, so we are helping no one because they're not helping themselves.
Absolutely.
Those are the facts.
Absolutely. Frosty Wooldridge, Golden, Colorado, my dear friend, I appreciate it every Monday. I look forward to having you on the air. Thank you. Stay warm back in chilly Colorado.
Will do.
All right, buddy.
Godspeed, my friend.
Thank you, Frosty. Appreciate it. He tells it like it is, and he tells it the way it is, and I appreciate it. Right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Absolutely. With the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on and on. They are the professional professionals that really care and can help you, your family, and your business with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this final Monday in October, and it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. High of 40, it is going to be breezy with a southwest wind at about 10 miles an hour, increasing to about 15 miles an hour by this afternoon. Wind could gust as high as about 32. For tonight, 40% chance of snow showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 16. We are expecting accumulations of less than a half an inch possible. Tomorrow, 50% chance of showers in the morning hours, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon. High of 28, blustery with the north wind at about 13 miles an hour. That's going to be increasing by the afternoon. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 6. Then by Wednesday, sunny skies and 33. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And brought to you by the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said a moment ago, offices in Burley and Rupert. In Burley, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The best with accounting services, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Coming up next hour, we've got two really big home run hitters talking about politics, and one, of course, Dan Perkins has been on our program many, many times, and then also Doug Giles is going to be on the program, and we've had a lot of people asking to have him return on the show. Well, both of them will be up this next half hour, or next hour, I should say. By the way, too, I want to remind you about what's going on over at Mad River Laser. They're going to have an early bird sale on Friday, this Friday night, November 1st. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. And then, of course, on Saturday, the sale continues with all their Christmas home decor and everything. And here's the thing. If you'll go over there and just mention my name, I heard it on Zeb Bell's program, you can receive free digitizing on your products from Carhartt, Nike, Adidas, Bell Canvas, and North Face, just to name a few. That's up to a $50 value. So please stop over. This weekend's a big weekend for Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. Wonderful people, and boy, I'll tell you, I've had a lot of business over there. Everything, is first class at Mad River Laser on the Square in Rupert. Really good folks. We're, like I said, going to have those guests come on the program this next hour, and your calls are always welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the featured guests for tomorrow that I wanted to mention real quickly is former United States Congressman Tom Tancredo is going to be on the program. And then we're also going to have a gentleman that has worked over the last, I think, 10 years with diplomacy issues in the Middle East and the mess that it is in right now. So we've got some real good guests coming on the program tomorrow. Right now, we're going to send this back over to Wheels, and we're going to get ready for all the news from CBS and find out what's happening around the globe and how the left is after the Trump administration again. So we'll be back in 7 minutes. And away we go into hour number 3. Going to be cold tonight and tomorrow night, so please make sure that all your pets and livestock are well cared for and provide lots of water. It's going to get doggone chilly. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a really big fall tire sale going on. And of course, don't forget to some of our excellent advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn, seniors living the good life with friends. I want to take this opportunity to remind you again that Mark Rosa of Heyburn wants your vote to become the mayor of Heyburn on November 5th. And he's a small businessman that has invested a lot of time and effort into the area of Heyburn, and he wants your vote. And he said that everybody over in Heyburn needs smart leadership that will keep taxes and utility rates in line with neighboring cities, and he will not overturn the will of the people by pushing through items that were voted down. So he reminds you, vote on November 5th for Mark Rosa for Heyburn Mayor, paid for by Mark Rosa for Mayor. Also, as we are into our political season, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at, of course, Greystone Crossing. And when you talk about Greystone Crossing, you're talking about an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place for seniors to live and reside and enjoy with other seniors. It's kind of like a great big fraternity house, in a way, if you will. And it's beautiful. And they offer 3 meals a day and snacks and, of course, local transportation, and it's just really home. I urge you to give a call and try to set up a meeting so that you can tour the facility. Call Matt and Kelly Wiggins, and the number is 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Really nice people. Again, I want to remind you there's a big deal going on at Redder's Showcase, and that's going to be this Friday night. One night only, Friday, November 1st at 2611 Overland in Burley. Holy moly, it starts at 4 in the afternoon, goes till 9 o'clock at night. They're going to have drawings for great, great gifts. They're going to have low, low prices. They're going to have factory representatives on hand, and up to 18 months, same as cash on approved credit. You better stop in and see them this Friday night for their big, huge special sale Friday night, November 1st, from 4 to 9 p.m. at Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. Okay, let's go to the phone line, and I have a lot of respect for this man because not only is he an excellent author, but he really discerns things and is able to explain everything that's going on politically. He's a nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, and I'm proud to have him as our stable of friends. Dan Perkins, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. And yourself? How cold is it going to get there?
It's supposed to get down to 8 above tomorrow evening.
Whoa.
Which is a little bit of a whoa factor different than Florida, I'm sure.
Yeah. What happened to global warming?
Yeah. Oh, it went out the door with the rest of the Democrats. By the way, Dan, I apologize to you because I always thought I was a fairly well-read individual and kept up on current affairs. But I apologize to you and others for coming on my program because I didn't know that I was supposed to honor President Pelosi.
Well, only a few people do, but you know, it was interesting. She's got her nose bent out of shape because Donald Trump didn't advise her before she advised the Russians about the covert action of killing the leader of the ISIS movement in Syria. So, and I have a simple message for Nancy. Just get over it and move on.
That message may be simple, but I don't think it's going to be adhered to. I have never in my life, and again, you're more of the political analyst than I am, but I've never seen so much involvement with the Democrats trying to prove to the rest of the populace here in the United States that they are really in charge. Pelosi and Schumer and Swalwell and Adam Shifty Schiff, all of these people. It's not the president. He's just a figurehead. It's us, the Democrats.
That's it's a very keen observation you're making because I've been talking about that for some time, and I did a couple of interviews this morning, and we were talking about that. And I said, you know, I've been saying this for a long time. Republicans don't seem, then I should say, I should stop and say just a minute. Historically is what I should be saying. Historically, Republicans are not as committed to their beliefs as Democrats, and so they don't tend to defend them. And when they're attacked by somebody on the left, they usually cower and shut up and go away, or resign, or quit, or whatever. The other thing that I've noticed about Republicans is that, believe it or not, they're reluctant to win. They don't want to win, and we heard that. We've heard that a number of times from Donald Trump. We got into these wars without a clear-cut strategy of an exit and how we were going to win them, and we wind up spending trillions of dollars and thousands of American lives for nothing happening. And I think what's happening is that there's I hope that there's a little spark. I was concerned that for the 3 years that the president has been under attack by the mainstream media and by the Democratic Party, there's been a small cadre of people, Republicans, who supported the president. And I kept wondering, why aren't more elected Republicans involved in this process? Why they are not standing up for the rights of the American people by saying this is stupid, this shouldn't happen, and it's not appropriate. And I got my wish. We got 30 Republican congressmen who went into the hearing room and protested what the hell was going on to Schiff and the rest of his henchmen. We get 30 Republican congressmen who are standing up for the president. But more important than that, they're standing up for a process that all Americans should support. And I was glad that they did that. And it shows that the Republicans are starting to get a backbone. You know, when you look at the last two presidential elections prior to 2016, the two candidates, John McCain and Mitt Romney, didn't want to fight. They really didn't want to win. They tied their hands behind their back, because John McCain said, well, we can't talk about his race, we can't talk about this, we can't talk about that, we can't talk about Reverend Wright, we can't talk about any of these things. And Romney, who had the president probably on the ropes by the second debate, basically walked away from the campaign. He didn't want to win. And we see him today complaining about what the president is doing and the fact that the president is winning and he didn't win. So there's an anger there, there's a frustration, there's a jealousy, whatever you want to call it. But if we as Republicans and conservatives continue to stand up against the Democrats and challenge them, we might just turn this country around.
When you look at Mitt Romney, and we've got a left-wing loon right here in our neighborhood that writes op-ed pieces, and he had one in the paper here the last couple of days that said, the headline, "Will Mitt Romney strengthen the backbone of other GOP senators?" It makes me sick, because all Mitt Romney has been or is currently is nothing more than a complainer and a man that's a wannabe but never will. Do you agree with that assessment or not?
Absolutely. I was asked in a television show I did last week. The host said to me, "We've only got about 20 seconds. What can you tell me about Mitt Romney?" And I said, in a word. He said, "You got a word." I said, "Irrelevant." And he was kind of shocked at the statement. And we ended the show. He says, "We'll have to pick that up later." He wants to be relevant. But the practical reality is that he let us down. He didn't fight for what we believe when he was the Republican nominee for president against Barack Obama. And I believe, had he had a backbone, he could in fact have beaten Obama. But he chose, as I said earlier, he chose not to want to win. And people who think that he's going to encourage the Senate to vote on the impeachment of Donald Trump are not Republicans. They're just Democrats in disguise.
You know, Dan, let me ask you this. We'll make a statement. I've said on my radio program that the Democrats have a kind of a pizza pie approach. They cut the pizza into about 16 different slices, and little by little, piece by piece, they go after the Trump administration, and it's their approach of trying to weaken the Trump administration, maybe by sending some people over to the Middle East and do some negotiating behind the president, or wherever the case might be. This has got to stop. I mean, if we're going to be one nation under God, it better stop, and the Democrats can't take and piecemeal this whole thing together.
I agree, and I would like to ask you a question, if I might. It's your show, but I want to ask you, since we're talking about this, a question about that. I asked this question this morning on another show. I said, you may remember, I had talked a long time ago about the Democratic candidate for the nomination in 2020 will be the ultimate victim. The Democratic Party is the party of victims. And the ultimate victim, and I said this over a year ago in writing and on a lot of radio and television shows, that I believe, short of an orange jumpsuit, the Democratic nominee for president in the 2020 election will be Hillary Clinton. And people thought I was crazy, and they were laughing at me, and now I'm getting phone calls and emails. How did you know? Well, I would say to you, the question I have is, I've also made a prediction, and if I didn't make it on your show, I'll make it. If I have, I'll just reiterate it. I believe that Donald Trump has the possibility of winning the presidential election 48 states to 2. And I said in my comments this morning, and I say to you, if he wins 48 to 2, will the Democrats change anything they're doing? What do you think?
Well, first of all, before I give you a yes or no answer on that, if he wins 48 to 2, I think you will see a fuse connected to a bomb that will be a total destructive fragmentation of the Democratic Party, so they may not even be existent under the current form that we recognize them today. So I would say it's going to be absolutely a backbone breaker against the Democrats.
And what would it do about the Democratic wing called the news media? Well, how will the press change anything?
You know, that's really interesting because I don't think the CNNs or the MSNBCs, the Joe in the Morning, and those type of people can change because of their absolute dedication, I think, to being leftists and against the Trump administration and against conservatives in general. So, no, I don't think they can change because they can't change.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think you're right. I've been saying to people recently that I think that the presidential election in 2020, regardless of who the Democratic nominee is going to be a clear choice by the American people to choose between socialism, communism, and capitalism. Not about who's going to get more jobs, and not about who's going to do something with the budget, who's going to have a stronger military. That's going to be irrelevant. It is, who do you believe that will the next president will change the direction of this country, or keep it on the same path of growing capitalism, or will it switch and become a socialist and communist country?
You know, I salute you.
Decision.
I salute you, Dan, because I remember vividly the morning I had you on the program and you made the statement about Hillary Clinton is going to come from the dark shadows and out of the rocking chair and very possibly could become the nominee again. And I kind of snickered at it myself. I'm going to be very honest. And I thought, good heavens, no, that's almost an impossibility. Now I'm buying a uniform to play on your football team because I think you're the quarterback. Throw me the ball. I agree with you.
Yeah. All right. We have a caller there?
Yeah, we do, and we'll take that call quickly. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air, please.
Yes, Deb, a quick question and concern about the upcoming election. I am concerned that it's irregardless of what the populace says and votes on the clear direction that the populace wants to go, the media will change it, manipulate it, and people on the left will try and steal the election. Because I'm pretty positive that Trump will get reelected. Okay, that's just my forecast. However, I do feel that they will do anything and everything and use any means possible to try to steal the election. Whether it be the media helps them try to miscue the voter results of the voters, and or manipulate the news and the Democratic Party try and steal it like they tried before. But anyway, I'll let you know.
You know, and Riley, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Dan, I agree with the caller that I'm very, very concerned about the shadiness and the illegality of the left on this next election.
Well, you know, it's the caller is expresses a concern of a lot of people of out there in the flyover country about whether or not, no matter what happens with the election, but I believe that no matter how hard the press will try, if I'm right and it's 48 states red and 2 blue, it will be difficult for the mainstream media to look at the map that'll be behind all the commentators and the huge swath of red and the two. And I actually think, based on what I'm hearing and seeing in California over the last several months, it could be 49-1. There's a possibility that the president be given the conditions of 800,000 people without power, 50,000 people being forced out of their homes, massive wildfires, and incredibly high taxes, that the electorate in California is going to revolt. And I think, given the popularity of the president when he went to San Francisco and Los Angeles for fundraisers, the fact they were turning people away and raised record amounts of money, tells me that there's a lot of people in California. And again, because the Democrats control the state of California, they didn't want the president to come in. They didn't want the president to try and get a toehold in the state of California. And so they did everything to try and dissuade him from not coming. And previous Republican candidates would have never gone to California. They would have written off California as not being winnable. So they didn't bother to go there. And the fact that the president's gone there, and I believe based on his reaction and reception, he'll go back more than once. But there are things that are undeniable. And I would say what you'll see is, if the map gets as red as I think it's going to be, you're going to hear things like, well, he only won Wisconsin by 80,000 votes, or he only won Pennsylvania by 100,000 votes. And they'll try and minimize each state election that way, especially when it goes against the candidate. Now, if the Democratic candidate gets trounced in terms of both popular vote and electoral vote, you're right, that's going to be absolutely, I think, devastating for the current leadership of the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm. Dan, if it's not Hillary, and I agree with you that she's probably all of a sudden going to come out on stage in a yellow pantsuit and looking like a granny that lost her rocking chair. If it's not Hillary, who else are they going to try to entice to maybe run? Because I'm not seeing anything that's socially acceptable with Biden, Warren, Bernie Sanders, or any of the other pack. Who other than Hillary?
Well, I would say to you that you really have two real definable camps in the Democratic Party. You've got the far left, which is the 16 candidates, and you've got what is perceived to be less left in Joe Biden. The man has survived this vicious attack by his own competitors about his son and what he's done, and is still the leader of the pack. So right now, I would say he's got about 26% of the vote. That's not enough to win the nomination on the first ballot in the Democratic convention. And so I have to say to you, there's talk about Bloomberg wanting to get back into the race and some other people. That's going to create enormous dislocation within the Democratic Party. Hillary will be enough, but to have people who come in after the process that these other candidates have gone through and all the money they've raised, then losing out and not being able to be on the debate stage and all those things, for somebody to try and come in other than Hillary, Bloomberg, or whoever it might be, comes in and decides they want to do something, John Kerry or whatever, it's going to be terribly disruptive for the Democratic Party. And I would see a huge split in the party for those people who went through the process and ran to have somebody walk in. The only exception will be Hillary.
Yeah.
So it could turn extremely ugly in the Democratic Party, and there will be no unity, and so there won't be any significant candidate to run against Donald Trump, and that's why I think the vote's going to be high. I do want to point out, Zeb, that something happened last Friday that is going to have, I believe, an impact on the outcome of the election. That was the bipartisan support by the historic Black College that recognized Donald Trump, both Democrat and Republican, for his work, outstanding work in the reform of the statutes and the laws and the penalties in criminal justice reform.
Absolutely.
And that really didn't get a lot of play in the mainstream media, but what I'm hearing very quickly is that the black community has warmed even more so to the president because the blacks are such a disproportionate share of the people that are in the criminal justice system. And the fact that it was bipartisan and it was by a group leading a historic black college, all of those things are very important messages to the black community.
Absolutely.
If Democrats do not win the black vote by at least 90%, they're in serious trouble across the country.
This man knows, and that's why I keep inviting him on this program. Nationally recognized expert on foreign policy, energy, and politics in general. Dan Perkins, God bless you, man. Come back soon. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just really enjoy having Dan on our program, and believe me, we'll have him back real soon. Want to remind you again about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat, and it features remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. That's right. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 and find out more. Real quick, I also want to remind you about our friends over at Patterson's Electronics. My goodness sakes, they've got it all at 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. Curtis and Lorena and the staff are really up on all your electronic needs. Man, I could get an education from them. They've got all your home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all the TVs you could possibly take a look at, you bet, from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, all of this and so much more. They are open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and believe me, service is the name of the game. They really take care of you at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, 678-6997. Right now, we send it back over to our main studio. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much, and we're running a few minutes late here, and I want to remind everybody again, the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox featuring remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Check it out today at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Call them today. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I've had a lot of requests to have this man back on the air. He's the founder and editor of ClashDaily.com and co-author of the wild book called Would Jesus Vote for Trump? Good morning, Doug Giles. How are you?
Jeb, what's shaking, big dog?
It's getting cold outside, man. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow evening getting down in the single digits, about 6 degrees above zero. That's what's not shaking.
Yeah, it dropped down to mid-40s here in balmy central Texas, and I know it's not single digits, but it's cold for this thin-skinned redneck.
You know, Doug, I've had a lot of people that said, get him back on the air because he tells it like it is. And let me kind of lead you into this because I find Mitt Romney to be disgusting. I find him to be a turncoat. And I'm sure you've got some words of wisdom you'd like to share about Mitt Romney as a senator going against the grain of the Republican Party. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been repenting since 2012 when I held my nose and stumped for the one who wears the Magic Mormon underwear. And, yeah, he is repugnant. I think any way you look at him or slice into him, he screams if he is, who he posits himself to be, Republican or conservative, then he's like one of the worst ones in the world. Him and John McCain both. They're liberals. They're dying-the-wool liberals. They're left. They're way left of JFK. And his little envious green around the gills because Trump trounced him and dusted Hillary like a narc at a biker party is just not going to go away. And I think to add to Romney's creep factor, not only is he duplicitous in his specious stance as a conservative, but who in the world, as a grown-ass man, goes around with fake Twitter accounts, especially if he's flying under the pseudonym Pierre Delecto? Brother, that just pushed turbocharge on Romney's creep factor. And I like and he used this account for the uninitiated who's listening this morning to what's the word I'm looking at? To prop up Mitt's position in the national spotlight and to whiz on Trump's. I think it's creepy. I think Mitt Romney and people like him are the reason that there are Donald Trumps and Bernie Sanders, because people are pig sick of that duplicitous, speak out of both sides of your mouth BS.
Let me ask you this, Doug. When you look at the entirety of this impeachment inquiry and you look at the whistleblower, where is he? Well, we don't know where he is. What happened to him? Well, we're not sure. Well, there was another one. Well, we can't find him. Well, we can't have President Trump find out who his accuser is. Adam Schiff before the TV cameras every day saying, well, we've got all the negative information we need to go ahead and prosecute. Nancy Pelosi. This whole thing is just absolutely a sham that's costing you and I and the rest of the American taxpayers a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah, but come November 2020, I think it's the 3rd, I believe. I don't know. I'm not losing my mind, just my memory. I think America's going to pay them back. So I say, let them ride, man. Let them say all their stuff. Let them blather into the air inside the Beltway. Let them get on CNN and New York City and try to sell their plate of crap, because America's not buying it. America is hip to what they're doing. I dig the fact that AG Barr and his special investigator Jim Bulldog Durham now have investigations into all of the FISA abuses, the Mueller report. If I was Clapper and Brennan and Comey, and even up to Obama and Hillary, I'd be sweating because some of these folks might be wearing county orange, this time next year. And I don't think Barr and Durham and Trump are going to play these goofy games. I really think that this is the beginning of the end of freedom for some of those who thought that they were going to skate. Because, again, their beclouded crystal ball, Zeb, told them that the Hildebeest was going to get elected, and it didn't happen. And just like the biblical narrative of Haman erecting a gallows for Mordecai to swing on, I think these morons are going to swing on the rope that they prepared for Trump.
Let me ask you this, Doug, and I've got you on the air. I want to ask you quite a few different questions about politics, and one being, I scoffed at a lot of people that months ago said, look out, Hillary might turn up as another candidate, another possible nominee, and it actually looks like that might happen. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, her narcissism knows no bounds, and would she do it? I guarantee, she thought it was stolen from her, so she thinks she's going to reclaim it. But man, I don't know. I don't know how what goes on in the ferment that's going in that whirring tin brain of hers. I do know that Zeb, I would love to see her get exhausted again, do the hurdy-gurdy man shake on the curb, trying to get into the black SUV as she finishes a speech in New York City. I'd like to see her going through her cough fits when Trump, serves her a zappy little quip during the debate. I love it. I am so tickled with all the candidates that are out there because he is going to mop the floor with them, man. It is going to be some of the funnest stuff. Matter of fact, my family has ordered an 18-wheeler of beer and an 18-wheeler of popcorn getting ready for the debates after the Democratic primaries. I'll tell you the only person that I really fear in that pack, and I don't think she's going to get the nod, but I'll tell you what, if she rises to a place where she actually wins the primary, Tulsi Gabbard would give Trump a run for his money because from an articulate standpoint, she's got it. She's got the looks. She's got the service to the military. I completely disagree with her politics, but she's not. She doesn't jump on these ridiculous socialist trains that the rest of them are, or at least the extreme aspects of them. And she's pretty. She's strong. She doesn't blink. She takes on Hillary. She hates corruption. God help us if she gets the nod, because, again, I think she'd give Trump a run for his money.
When you look at, Doug, when you look at the candidates standing up there behind the podium and you see the wild gyrations of Beto O'Rourke in regards to the condemning and damning of our Second Amendment, and you listen to these others regarding maybe a cutback on our free speech, our First Amendment, and a rewrite of our Constitution, my goodness, this must be really indicative of how poor our education system is in America, because these kids today evidently don't understand what a great country this is.
Well, Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, when they tried to change America as radical socialists back in the day with bombs, they learned real quick that that's going to get them put in jail for a long time. So they switched gears and they became educators. And I would say that, the leftists that are in the public school system, I'm talking about from kindergarten, straight on through undergraduate school and grad school, they've done a great job of removing any kind of respect that a student, a young person, have for our founding documents, the Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence. And yeah, man, for the socialists, they can't have free speech. Zeb and Doug can't go around saying what's right, because it hurts their feelings nowadays. It triggers the snowflakes in the college campuses, and it absolutely wrecks the wet dream of the socialists to erect, their failed and feckless and been tried wanting everywhere it's been parlayed socialist worldview. And so they've got to mitigate speech like Zuckerberg did. He booted us off Facebook. We had 2 million followers. We had 20 to 50 million people we're reaching per week, not month or year, but per week. And he couldn't dance with what we were putting out. They couldn't compete. So let's shut the voice down. And as far as Second Amendment, you're right to keep and bear arms. Oh my God, Democratic Socialists cannot have that whatsoever. And by the way, if you're not into paramilitary rifles and black guns, which I'm not a real big fan of. I mean, I've got a couple of them, but I'm a hunter, so I love, the wood and metal varieties. Don't buy into this garbage that they don't want to take your hunting gun. They want every gun. They want the police and the military to only have the firepower. And Zeb, I believe there's a movie about 20 years ago where only the cops and the military had weapons. Gosh, what was it? It was Schindler's List, and it really didn't turn out that well.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air, please. Evidently, they couldn't wait. Let me ask you, over the weekend, of course, we were all alerted to the fact that one of the most dangerous, deadly, vile, sinister, vermin human beings, al-Baghdadi, was killed by our special forces, and yet the left in this country, the Nancy Pelosi's and others, are crying that, well, we weren't alerted to the fact that the special forces were going in, and the whole point being that President Trump didn't want any leaks of this information for the protection of our soldiers. How would you respond to the Democrats' complaints?
Typical, and I wouldn't tell Nancy anything. That chick's nuttier than a squirrel turd, and she's so batty zeb, I bet she sleeps upside down. And I thank God that Trump, operates like that. It's the exact opposite of what Obama did. He'd tell the whole damn world what we're about to do, and people would vacate the premises. Now, he got Osama and stuff, so, I'm going to give credit to where credit's due. But I'll tell you one thing that ticked me off was when Trump showed up to the World Series with the Nationals, and part of the crowd booed him on the very day that Baghdadi, one of the worst, like you said, vermin, despicable, damnable, got an access laminate pass to move through every corridor of Dante's Easy Bake right now, and he gets killed on that day, and our president takes him out. Our whole nation gave Barack Obama more respect when Osama was killed by those Navy SEALs, SEAL Team 6. Everybody, students, college kids, conservative college kids, they were giving, everybody a big high five and thumbs up to Barack Hussein for doing that. But, what they did to Trump last night, disgusting, man. It just shows you how polarized and how rancorous the left has become.
Okay, extend that, though, into 2020, Doug, and we're looking at the absolute mindless state of the Democrats that are running and butting their head into a brick wall, impeachment, or they'll go look for something else. What after 2020 and what after Trump wins re-election? My goodness, are they finally going to get to work for the American public, or is this going to be an endless assault on our time and money trying to get Trump thrown out of the presidency?
Yeah, I expect, it to go on steroids. I think going into 2020, I don't think we've seen anything yet. I think the Trump derangement syndrome, the TDS, really hasn't hit its stride. And if he gets reelected, there's no telling what the left's going to do. I mean, they are so beset with this derangement. And socialists, man, if you look at socialists, Zeb, and I'm not being cheeky here at all, and the left has become the socialist party, is that when people are no longer listening to their ideas, they resort to force and violence. That's what they've done everywhere. They've taken root in any country. They always resort to violence. You look at Antifa. You look at the Occupy guys that were blowing stuff up, 5-6 years ago. That's their only recourse, is to create fear, because their ideas are vapid everywhere they've been tried. They've been found absolutely wanting, and so the only thing that they can do is stifle speech, try to get our guns, and then intimidate us into the corner. And that's where Americans should perfect the middle finger, stand bold and forthright in what they believe, and not cow to their demands.
Quickly, before I run out of time, I want you to tell us how the book is doing and where people can obtain a copy of Would Jesus Vote for Trump, written by Doug Giles.
Yeah, I think it's been out 3 months now, and I think for 13, 14 weeks, either the paperback or the audiobook or the Kindle version sat anywhere between 1 and number 5 in the nation in public affairs in the administration. The audiobook's a scream, man. If your listeners travel like riding, got to commute and stuff, get the audiobook, man. Some funny stuff that you might not really get when you read it, but, man, we lay it on real thick in the audiobook, and I think it's even cheaper than the paperback.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Doug, thanks.
Amazon. Yeah, go over there, Amazon. Try the audiobook. Get it for Christmas. if you got snowflakes in your household, just kind of put it in a common area. They'll see it. The cover will trigger them enough, and it'll make for an interesting Christmas Eve dinner.
Absolutely. Doug Giles, thank you, man. Author of the book, Would Jesus Vote for Trump? Thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the program. Thank you. All right. Very outspoken and lays it on the line, Doug Giles. And the book is called Would Jesus Vote for Trump? Right now, we've got to get a weather forecast on here. And, Wheels, are you listening over there, young man? I got a favor to ask of you again today.
I am, sir.
I forgot that we've got to go to a doctor's appointment and be there at 11:30. And, no, we're not going to be there. Oh, it's changed? Oh, I just had the door swing open, Wheels, and Deanne came running in and said they changed the appointment time. So I don't have to ask you to play another record.
Well, I'm glad that you know that it's changed now, but, I'm always here to have music on set.
I appreciate it, buddy. I just got word that, nope, we're not leaving so early. Thank you, Deanne. I want to remind you the weather being brought to you now by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Don't forget all the delicious meats, and you can check them out on the website. The marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips or any one of the beef, pork, and chicken dishes. They've got it all. They've got it all. All the bacons, all the sausages, bratwurst. It's all there at Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with a rather chilly forecast.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this final Monday in October, and it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. High of 40, it is going to be breezy with a southwest wind at about 10 miles an hour, increasing to about 15 miles an hour by this afternoon. Wind could gust as high as about 32. For tonight, 40% chance of snow showers after midnight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of about 16. We are expecting accumulations of less than a half an inch possible tomorrow. 50% chance of showers in the morning hours, mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon. High of 28, blustery with the north wind at about 13 miles an hour. That's going to be increasing by the afternoon. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 6. Then by Wednesday, sunny skies and 33. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zephyr Rain.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Delicious. Absolutely. Don Scarrow and the crew with the best of meats for you and your family and any gathering. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I gotta tell you this. Last week, before the World Series started, now for those of you that are going to dispute this, it's on tape, I said it. I said that I was going to pick the Astros in 6 games over the Washington Nationals. However, I really didn't want the Astros to win. And after the first 2 games, which Washington won, I thought, okay, my prediction's going out the window, which is good because I actually like the Washington Nationals better than the Astros. But in Game 3, and in Game 4, and in Game 5, the Nationals have looked terrible. And the Astros have a 3-2 game lead, and tomorrow night I honestly believe they're going to wrap the series up in my prediction of 6 games at the World Series. The Astros look phenomenal, and the Washington Nationals look like and resemble a deer with caught in the headlights of an oncoming truck. They just don't look real good. Our major sponsor, and we want to say thank you to them, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with all the tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes, and they're having right now a big fall tire sale. I urge you to stop in and see them today. And doing the right thing since 1952, they really, really do at any and all of the Les Schwab Tire Centers. And along with that, the very best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. And you heard the weather forecast just a few minutes ago. It's going to get doggone cold down tomorrow night, maybe about 6 or 7 degrees. Check your battery. Don't put it off. You don't want to run out for work the next day after and then turn the key and it goes click, 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 click. You be sure and stop in and check it out. All the great service, all the great tire buys, and all the other great amenities for you and your safe driving at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow on the program, Dan Kish, and we're going to have an energy report from the American Energy Alliance. Thank you, Dan. Tom Tancredo, former United States Congressman, will be on the program. Dr. History will be here tomorrow in the studio. Looking forward to that. And then Omar Quadrat, and he is a gentleman that has served in our military and now is a well-known, recognized expert on the volatility of what's going on over in the Mideast. He'll be on at 10:30 tomorrow. Let's see, anything else I've got to remind people of? No, I think that's about it. We're going to put everything back in the box and open it up at 8:06 tomorrow morning. And we always end the program with the thought that the way things were are the way things ought to be, and I'll stand behind that. But we also want to express 4 words that we really adhere to, and that's in God we trust. We'll be back tomorrow morning right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my weekly blog, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, and love to have you read that. Every week it comes out on Fridays or Saturdays. And until tomorrow morning at 8:06, God bless. Thanks, Wheels. Take it away.